It's a pleasure to welcome everyone at the 6th Smart Cities India and 28th Convergence. Now I would request our moderator, Ms. Nitika Chabra, Director, Infrastructure, Government and Healthcare, KPMG in India, to come up on the stage and start the session.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Smart Cities Leader Enclave. And before I begin, I think the year 2020 has been a challenging year wherein not only the challenges have shown us how life changes, but also the grit and determination with which the citizens have actually adapted to the unprecedented event of COVID-19. And I have here distinguished speakers, Mr. Hitesh Vaidya, Director at NIUA. I invite him to discuss about his thoughts on how he thinks cities have been resilient and been able to look after such kind of a pandemic with grace and grit. Sir.
Good morning, everyone. I'm really honored to be here. Today we are completing 1 year of lockdown and see the change. 1 year we were all talking in front of screens. So I've forgotten how to talk in front of audience, live audience. I think this is a new experience, first time in this new decade that we are starting a face-to-face discussion. I think congratulations to the 6th Smart Cities Expo to organize such a big event and along with KPMG knowledge partners. So thanks. I think this also shows itself that we are reviving, we are getting out of it. We are ready to take this challenge forward. And we have not last 1 year just gone down, but we have that resistance and energy to get back and bounce back. And I think this organization itself is the first step towards bouncing back, and bouncing the thoughts itself is a big step towards bouncing the organization or the country as a whole. So the thought itself is a great starting point to start this face-to-face discussion. So first of all, congratulations for organizing this, and thank you for having me here. We all have seen the challenges of COVID-19. I don't want to get into what challenges we faced. We all knew on 24th night when the lockdown was and how things will happen. I come from the National Institute of Urban Affairs, which is supposed to be think tank of Government of India. And on 25th morning, whatever the challenges may be, my challenge was on 31st March, how will I give salaries to my employees or my staff, because I was working on a computer where software was inside locked on a desktop. So unless I take that desktop and make those payrolls, because there was nothing online, we were working for all, and I will, even trying to be diplomatically correct, I'll say we were working in a Sarkari mode. And things were working. But I think all the 20 years, we all were talking about moving towards the IT industry, taking up this innovations, creativity. And what we saw in last 1 year, 20 years of knowledge of books would have not made us do things which we achieved in this last 1 year. So I think pandemic had really, even though it was a difficult period, it was also an opportunity to start new ways of doing business. And I think we are learning this. We are moving towards this. So I think first thing which I'm saying today, when we are giving this city leaders conclave, when we are talking here, today I'm sitting here, the whole credit goes to city leaders, not to me or not to think tanks. It's the city leaders, because of your frontline efforts, we are here, we are breathing here, we are talking to this, and this is across the country. So I think we all should give a big applause to all our city leaders in the country. We talk about the new normal, or UNESCO coined up a a term called next normal. Whatever we call it, it looks like we were not normal and now we are moving normal. I don't agree with that. We were doing a business which was there. Maybe this has shaken us up and we want to now look at new ways of doing business. And for having that, whatever we achieved during last 1 year to survive and to keep the business going, we need to have a lot of restructuring, both economically, socially, and so that we can, move from the traditionally operated system to a new system approach. During the whole COVID, 3 things actually came up also, which actually are catalyzing towards preparing this country as well as all urban sector in particular to position towards this competitive COVID economy format. And these are 3 calls from the Honorable Prime Minister: Atmanirbhar Bharat, Vocal the Local, and 5 trillion economy. These are nice words, nice thoughts of the thought leadership, but the challenge is how to, rather than what to. And I think that's the way we need to move forward. But I think all these 3 will, if have to be fructified, they will be fructified in the cities. Cities are going to be the forefront of achieving this vision of the thought leadership, which we have been given, and we are also the direction towards that. I know you people as a city leaders have faced these challenges, but I can just say what were the main lessons we learned during the COVID. The first lesson we learned during the COVID was initiatives were driven and implemented by urban local bodies. They were locally driven, contextualized, based to city challenges, city to city problems. Each city leader really worked on how he can respond to this crisis. We also saw, we all used to talk about convergence, but first time we saw health, urban, they started talking to each other, which was not earlier. There were silos, but these silos got broken up during this COVID and they started talking about. Third, data and evidence-based discussions became a key tool because we could map where are the COVID challenges. We could spatially look at containment zones. We can give a response based on the data. So data became a key ingredient to the whole thing. Technology definitely helped in whole spatial mapping, as well as give whole responding effective response to the challenge. Frontline sanitation workers, sanitation became a thing. So cities were clean. We never had any challenge of water, sanitation, solid waste management during last 1 year. There were not complaints in the, maybe because of other complaints were more important that they didn't come up, but still we saw the cities being operated. City operations were never stopped during this period. We also realized the importance of green spaces to give us a lungs, to breathe properly. So public spaces came up much more, discussion on public spaces through Zoominars, webinars. We all talked about how we will move forward, and public spaces emerged as one of the key area to really start looking at planning processes. Street spaces, pedestrian, do gaj ki duri became how do we design our streets? How do we design our urban design became a much more important than urban planning. And I think that also came up a very, very critical learning something. Last, as Nikita said, citizens came and they started aligning. We all talk about citizen partnership, but it was citizens and the local body, they started talking to each other. And cities started using the citizen forums to give a response. So we saw schools were being taken over, hospitals were being taken over, citizens came, so nobody had a food problem. Nobody died because of hunger. That's a great, great challenge which we learned, that all citizen communities came together and said, okay, we join hands. I know this is maybe because of pandemic, and how we institutionalize this now moving forward is a challenge which we might have to look at it. But in a nutshell, if you really look at it, cities became the spatial units where urban transformation is occurring, and therefore decentralization and empowerment of cities became a big learning lesson that unless we empower, we apply the principles of, the that the problem wherever it occurs has to be solved there. So all decentralized principles, unless we apply them, that will not take forward. बचपन में हम सुना करते थे आवश्यकता ही आविष्कार की जननी है, और आई थिंक आविष्कार जो हुए वो इन्हीं आवश्यकताओं के कारण हुए, क्योंकि अदरवाइज वी वर ऑल लेड बैक एंड सेइंग चल रहा है, माई बाप सरकार चला रही है, मुझे क्या लेना है. But now all these challenges came up that we started saying that no, these changes are required, and we want to really move forward. We want to respond to these challenges. And if we could do it all in the wartime type of a situation which we did it, why don't we do it in a normal situation? Same responses. What is stopping us? I think that's the one thought we need to really stop. If we could manage now in this crisis, because all the time, the whole discourse or whole narrative, urban local bodies कुछ करती नहीं है, urban local bodies में कुछ काम नहीं होता है. स्मार्ट सिटीज एक बहुत बड़ा हाथी पाल दिया सरकार ने. आज अगर हमारा रिस्पॉन्स है, अगर ये इंटीग्रेटेड कमांड एंड कंट्रोल सेंटर्स, दे वर नेम्ड एज अ वाइट एलिफेंट्स, I think they came as a rescue to the city's support. So I think the whole narrative has changed. Now people have started seeing the importance of data, importance of evidence, importance of technology to respond to the situation, and want to move away from this business as usual approach. But I must also admit, there is not a magic mantra which can really change the whole situation now. But three things which we realized during this COVID is top-down guidebooks won't work. वो बचपन में MBD लेके एग्जाम पास कर लिया वो नहीं होगा. We have to look at the solution at our own context. We have to come up creatively and innovatively the solutions which are local, which are contextual, which are to the situational context. And one-size-fit approach will not work at all. Every city will come up, and I think we will have presentations after this. Every city will come up with their own solution and have to come up with their own solutions to do that. But having said that, these are the lessons which we learned, but how do we move forward from these lessons? I think 4 policy instruments which came up during last 6 months define our way forward. And what are those 4 policy instruments? These 4 policy instruments are National Infrastructure Pipeline Report, which talks about what are the priority sectors, and it talks about 17% of the total spending next 5 years will be on urban transformation. Then second was Economic Survey Report, which talked about basic necessities to be taken up, water and sanitation. Third was budget, which also laid down the emphasis on water, sanitation, fecal sludge management, and housing. Again, basic services for the people. And fourth was 15th Finance Commission report, which talked about devolution of funds to cities based on the performance, particularly improving the air quality, improving the green spaces, improving the own source revenues of urban local bodies and challenges. So these 4 policy instruments actually define what should be the new normal or next normal we should be really moving forward. I'll just give a nutshell what are the 5 things, because I know we are running out of time, so I'll not take much of a time here, but what are the 7 main principles these 4 policy instruments talk about? The 7 principles which they laid down for doing it is improve the economic development at a local level, and improve the own source revenues of urban local body, make these urban local bodies credit worthiness. It talked about unified governance, how urban local bodies should be empowered so they can take decisions, which are much more, decisions are taken at the local level. It talked about move away from the traditional norm-based planning to a outcome-oriented planning. The focus, again, back planning, what we learned from the smart city missions, only smart city, 100 cities cannot be smart. I think we need all 4,000 cities to be smart. And the lessons what we learned from this smart city mission, how that can be taken up to the 4,000 urban local bodies, I think that's another area which have been focused on. It also talked about how we can improve the technology and data. It talked about how do we improve the social human capital and how do we focus on training and skill building at the local level. Innovation and entrepreneurship. I think even the cities are themselves have been named as one of the most innovative creation of the humankind. There is how do you really improve on this through the other innovations that we start making things much more doable and implementable and action oriented rather than just a strategic and policy oriented. And last, it talked about sustainability, climate change, and inclusivity. So everything, whatever you do, has to be addressing how it will sustain, how it will be operated, how it will be affect the climate issues, and how it can be inclusive. Nothing can be smart unless it is inclusive. So I think those were the main emphasis for these 4 policy instruments. Again, this discourse needs to take further, and this has to be done through lot of capacity building. We cannot underline the challenges of capacities at the local level. And the capacities has to be built, not a generic capacities, but we need to now move forward in a very, very focused capacity building approach. And this capacity building approach has to be starting from the project preparation process. How do we develop the project? Right now, what happens in the time idea of RFP comes, we prepare a DPR, and then DPR is put in the thing, and then we say environmental and social challenges are there. Legal issues have not been considered. Regulatory frameworks has not been adhered to, and then that DPR never sees the light of the day. How do we push the capacity in the project preparation process? Second is, we need to come up with the innovative procurement strategies. How we can really improve the startups, the new people, not on this L1 approach, but what are the new ways of doing business which we need, where we can get private sector engaged with the urban local bodies much more quickly based on the ideas rather than based on the financial quote L1, however technical sound he may be. So those are the new thinking which we have to really discuss about. How we have to talk about execution capacities at the local level, because I have been going last 1 year after joining National Institute of Urban Affairs, and I have been going cities and cities, and they say, good project, everything we do. People don't come to us to execute the project. Nobody come, like Agartala, they say, good project, लोग ही नहीं आते हैं, किससे करवाएंगे? हमारे पास contractors ही नहीं हैं. How do we get it? So how do you build the execution capacity at a different levels? Look at new financing mechanisms. How do you improve own service? How do you look at alternative financing mechanisms? Those cities can get more funding to do the projects. And lastly, which I feel very close, is how do we really monitor and evaluate the performance of the cities? It should not be just one-way approach, but how do we get feedback that what we are doing is making an impact, is making a change? How do we really come up with those performance measurement indicators or performance-based contracts? That's going to be a challenge. I definitely feel that this is going to be a decade of action and for urban reforms. And we will need to have a creatively and innovatively leapfrog towards this urban transformation. But I am convinced that if we could, collectively come up with the 5 big policy, global policy direction like SDGs, New Urban Agenda, Sendai Framework, and other frameworks like globally, we can definitely collectively we can come up with this new age cities, which we can hand over proudly to our next generation. So thank you very much for this, and I hope I have covered the challenges and the way forward. But I'm open to have a one-to-one discussions whenever you want to have much more dialogue and detailed on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So please join us here. And I would also now like to call on Ms. Charu. She is the coordinator for the Center of E-Governance, Indian Institute of Public Administration. Ma'am Charu Malhotra, please come on to the stage, please. So thank you very much, sir. I think, yes, the clarity on what to do has been there for quite some time. But your perspective actually put in how to do, and probably the pandemic also taught us how to do it at much faster speed and get execution done, and also realize the outcomes and the determination with which the cities have actually gone ahead and made that change.
Namaskar, all of you. I think these podiums were never designed for intelligent women. The height they have is like really meant only for Hitesh Vedya types of intelligent people. Anyways, not wait for the queue. Let the screen start, please. Yeah, thank you. Perfect. So, thank you, Hiteshji. Both of us know we've always complimented each other in thoughts. And whatever you were just saying, you know, spurred me to think of decentralized approach, agile making, localized context from a different perspective, okay? The perspective I always bring to the stage is with regard to the focus on citizens as the start point. Because whenever we meet to talk about smart cities, the first thing we talk about is technology, artificial intelligence, dashboards, integrated command and control centers. We talk about big data, we talk about 5G and other aspects. That is, I think, the start point of our mistakes. A lot of times we make that mistake. And that is the reason we become vendor locked in. That is the time, you know, when as a city leader, I get approached by company ABC or a big tech XYZ, and they try to infuse their solutions onto my city. Okay, my city means city of my dreams, city of a citizen, cities that are to be steered by champions like you. So I've always moved away from that approach, and I think that is what got me a Global Smart City Leader Award. But what is more required in terms of understanding is that how leaders like you, academics like me, and great practitioners like Hiteshji and KPMG as a backbone, we can all come together with our citizens to think of something new. But before I start with what is the new, let me tell you what all India did. All of you might be aware I'm a great, proponent of Digital India. I mean, irrespective of grassroots realities, at least the vision is in place with our Honorable Prime Minister there. You talked about Atmanirbhar Bharat, self-reliant Bharat. I also talk about, digital literacy. You talked about capacity building, but capacity building for masses through PMG, Disha, etc. also has been done by Digital India. Now coming to COVID, like Nitika asked me to do. Now, what were the main challenges of COVID? In main challenges of COVID, all of us know, was to ensure that the infection does not spread, so contain it wherever it is, and hence contact tracing. We did have Arogya Setu, and I'm not going to comment much on it, positive or negative. We wanted, like Hiteshji also said, we wanted to forecast, we wanted to use data to predict in advance the possibility of another outbreak. We wanted data to maximize our resources so that whatever little I have, my vans are being rushed there, my frontline workers are going there, my hospital beds are not over-occupied. This is where I wanted strength of technology. So I don't need technology as a start point, but I need technology as my support, as my decision support system, and that's where forecasting will come. You know what pandemic made us realize? That we are local thriving hubs. We don't need to go out to malls to buy things. We don't need to rely on external frills to make our life happy. In a perimeter of 10 to 15 kilometers of my existence, which is probably 10 to 15 minutes of my existence, I should get everything. रोटी कपड़ा मकान नेसेसिटी दोस्ती डॉक्टर मुझे सब कुछ उसी दायरे में चाहिए. This is what pandemic made us realize. Okay, that is why service delivery models have to change now. Okay, and that is why, where my previous eminent speaker said, decentralization will play a big part. Okay, last but not the least, Hiteshji being a PhD from IIT Delhi and an MCA from a technical university, fake information, cyber security. Okay, these are another set of aspects which rattled us. I remember my father calling me up and saying कि so many vaccines have so many repercussions and we should only go for foreign vaccines. Where did you read it? I read it on social media. Okay, so much of offer of free grants being given to household helps. Where did you read it? There was a Facebook link or a WhatsApp forward. So fake information is not just as complicated as Obama ji giving a wrong news. Fake information deals with local citizen in their daily existence also. So that is another aspect. And of course, the amount of ransomware attacks, the amount of boys' locker room cyberbullying happened during pandemic. Is it not concern of city leaders? I'm not saying you need technical advisors all the time, but the least you can do is create a call center or a helpline where vulnerable teenagers, hapless women and senior citizens who under the drive of demonetization came on net banking are getting fleeced by Jamtara kind of models. So please, these are very, very important concerns which I would like to flag throughout my discussion. I really like this approach of city leaders, number one, wanting to respond in the time of crisis, wanting their cities to recover within that time and then thrive subsequently. So it is not about getting prepared in an ad hoc manner, addressing a concern, but it is also about post-COVID, how prepared I was to handle a next disaster, God forbid, if it occurs. So whatever I'm creating should have a sustainability. And my previous speaker emphasized about institutionalization, and I really respect that. Because a spurt reaction in the time of COVID by any management, municipality, agency is going to die a natural death if I do not institutionalize it. Okay? So keeping that in mind, I would just take you to the basic definition of smart city. Why? Because as leaders, my first job was to tell you don't focus on technology. My second job is to tell you focus on quality of life. Okay? It is happiness index. It is the kind of social capital my previous speaker talked about. Not just economic capital, but social capital you can build in your cities, which will decide how strong your city is becoming. Okay, strong in terms of sustainability also, not just economic factors. So focus on this, but later. Now, I would like to look at this total, response system in terms of 5 basic aspects. Whatever I just said, with regard to COVID, we need to have war rooms, which we saw Pune having, we saw Jabalpur having, and so many other cities I'll share with you. We want to ensure that my migrants do not die halfway through. Livelihood options are not stifled. CSR activities of corporate combined with cities' mechanisms of handling such kind of influx and outflux. And I also said public service delivery. I also want lot of sensitization, which my previous speaker talked about, capacity building of masses, of city leaders and policy makers at all the level. And of course, health is an important criteria, which is to be embedded in the system as a necessity foundation layer and not as a vertical. So technology-wise, CCTV cameras can help us. Technology-wise, ICCC and dashboards can help us. Technology-wise, contact tracing apps can help us. Technology-wise, drones can help us. But I would want you to just look at these options. The bulb I'm showing you is probably a summary sheet for you. That for smart cities to be ready for pandemic, these are the basic nuggets you should know are required. Which one you want? It's like a buffet. जो चाहिए उठा लो, जो नहीं चाहिए या संभव नहीं है या context ready नहीं है, don't take it as a necessity a la carte. Okay, so command and control centers have lot of data in it which is helping us to take predictive decision making. But please understand, command and control centers or dashboards, whatever we talk about, fetch data from your streets, fetch data from your public areas, fetch data from your public transport. That means they all have IoTs, they all have sensors. Okay, creating a dashboard without data is like creating an infrastructure which nobody is going to use, creating a community hall where nobody can arrange marriages or birth of a child, etc. So command and control center is just the front end of the sensors you've deployed across the city. And that is where I have some concerns, okay? Till your command and control centers are not helping you to do these activities which I've highlighted. Your command and control centers will just become a showpiece or an exhibition hall for static reactions, not for dynamic decision making. Okay, so I would just leave that thought with you because I'm very sensitive and passionate about these thoughts. Next thing which is very important is food and shelter and health management aspects and delivery of essentials we've talked. Okay, I've already referred to these points, but now I come to the good case studies. All of us look up to role models. All of us look up to something that has worked elsewhere and I can probably copy it. But I also say focus on failed case studies, not just best case studies. Why did it fail? So some good case studies I'm trying to show to you is about Bhubaneswar, Raipur, Pune, Varanasi. Pune is also one. Chandigarh, Agra, etc. You could go back to these models for various aspects, which I've just shared with you. Okay, I also want to share with you that proprietary solutions by certain companies are being offered. You could study them. I've given you enough data here to have a look, but see if it fits your local requirement or not. I'm also trying to tell you that till this is not done, your command and control center is useless. So I would just sum up by saying what my previous speaker also say, and both of us are usually on the same page all the time, is capacity building activities. But my request to you is capacity building activities need not just focus on training. They should also focus on sensitization and advocacy to mass mobilize people to accept the technology, use it meaningfully, and pass on data back meaningfully. Till you don't crowdsource data from each and every point, your decision making at the city level is not going to be meaningful. Okay, that is why spreading awareness through some models I've given you are very important. Now my concerns, okay, because the concerns are the reason I took Nitika's permission to talk about. To be candid to you, it's not a cakewalk, it's not a bed of roses. You will have issues related to cost, you will have issues related to cybersecurity, my favorite topic. You will have issues related to capacities already highlighted. You would have subsequent issues about green city. आज आप स्मार्ट सिटी और पेंडेमिक प्रेपरेशन कर रहे हो, 10 साल के बाद आपके पास एक ऑर्डर आ जाएगी, एक रेगुलेशन आ जाएगी, कितनी ग्रीन और क्लीन है आपकी सिटी. तब आप आउटडेटेड डम्प्ड सेंसर्स का क्या करोगे, ऑब्सोलीट डिवाइसेस का क्या करोगे. You would have already created so much of electronic junk that you would not know where to go to. Even Delhi might not like that. Okay, so connectivity is another challenge. यहाँ पे data मिलेगा कि नहीं, यहाँ पे connectivity मिलेगी नहीं. Sitting in heart of Delhi is my prime concern. Imagine in the interiors of your own cities. So this is my last slide. I just created it for all of you. First and foremost, cities should not be digital and inhuman. Cities should be less digital but more human. Okay, why? Because humanity is not just about human beings. Humanity is also about cattle and pets and all those things that are displaced when such pandemic happens. City is also about not just able people and intelligent people like you, but it is also about people with special abilities. It's also about women whom nobody bothers about. Okay, it is also about solutions which are easy to maintain. Next point is, like my previous speaker said, agile policy making. I call it as bounce back mechanism of my city. एक कोई भी प्रॉब्लम आने के बाद कितनी देर में मैं वापस नॉर्मल हो सकती हूँ is the strength of my city. So bounce back mechanism of a city is not decided by devices, it is decided by people controlling the devices, people deciding on allocation of devices, people using the devices. So bounce back will depend on a lot of things where decentralized approach is important. Okay, the last 2 points, please understand, cities should not be just about sensors, cities should be about sensibilities. Who thought of incubating and encouraging centers of performing arts during pandemic? We just talked about online education, we just talked about online schooling, we talked about work from home. Did we create those community clusters online which were talking about, debating about Chanakya Niti or Shakespeare or anything else, or fine arts for that matter? Why are we not using or letting intelligentsia support the city signature style? That's also important for smart cities. Participatory approaches are important. So I leave you with the thought, when a calamity like pandemic hits, it should be an opportunity for all of us to bounce back. It should not turn into a disaster. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
A very valid point made that cities are for the people and it is what they make of the city. But yes, technology has been there to support and develop and help bring about those changes. So ma'am, what I would also like to ask is, and to sir you also, how can we reach, and now that we see certain numbers on the pandemic rearing back again, I believe we are much better prepared this time, but how do you think we can utilize ICCCs to a larger potential, specifically in tier 2 and tier 3 cities?
Thank you, Nitika. It's a very valid question, that how do ICCCs actually become, problem-solving centers. First and foremost, as I said, ICCC require a lot of data. Okay, that data comes from sensors. Now, deploying sensors is not the solution. I've monitored certain cities. I won't name them. They had sensors everywhere, but they got replaced by a new solution because those sensors were not coupled up with the content. There was no application software helping us to capture the data from those. So sensors were coming from one vendor and solution had to come from a third party. And they were not talking to each other. Quotations हो गई, sensors deploy हो गए, सब कुछ हो गया, data तक उठा लिया म्यूनिसिपैलिटी और डीएम से कि कहाँ क्या सेंसर होना, और थर्ड पार्टी के पास चला गया. मेरी सारी सिटी मैपिंग उस मैन्युफैक्चरर के पास आ गई थी. उन्होंने जाके वो सेंसर्स एम्प्लॉय कर दिए, डिप्लॉय कर दिए. जब मैंने उनसे पूछा ये सेंसर्स फ्लड मैनेजमेंट करेंगे, ट्रैफिक मैनेजमेंट करेंगे, क्या करेंगे, उन्होंने कहा उन्होंने हमें सेंसर्स खरीदने को बोला था, उन्होंने हमें सोल्यूशन के बारे में बात नहीं की. सोल्यूशन कहाँ से मिलेगा? थर्ड पार्टी से. फिर कोटेशन शुरू हुई. मेरे प्रीवियस स्पीकर ने RFP वगैरह की बात की थी. फिर कोटेशन शुरू हुई, फिर वो 3 कोटेशंस आई, तब तक मेरे सेंसर्स की AMC खत्म हो चुकी थी. So please understand that. Okay, it's a total solution you look for.
That is what I think, sir, you would also mention.
No, I
looking at the end-to-end solution.
I will not say, I agree with her. These are the processes which have a challenges.
Yeah.
I am saying the processes need to be redefined, but let's not negate that role of ICC is not there. I think what we saw during the ICC ने जो अभी इस overall pandemic में the way they performed, I think we realized the potential of technology and data during the pandemic. I think that awareness has come and we need to rebuild on that awareness, use that as a potential to move further. These challenges, they will definitely come because this is all learning experiences. This pandemic came out of sudden, nobody knew it. But we bounced back, as she said, and we, same workforce which we were telling yesterday was good for nothing. Today, if you really look at it, and I must give a credit Today with the pandemic, it was the government workforce which worked, not the private workforce which worked. So whatever privatization we talked about, it was the leadership of a city which made that private sector also to work with him. So I think that capacity of city leaders we should recognize and really salute them that they could get that thing moving. And I think we need to really, total private sector, total government sector will not work. It has to be the convergence, and the government sector, the way they perform, I think we need to strengthen it much more. We need to strengthen and empower our urban local bodies much more. Right now, the challenges, which is because of 74th Amendment and all, we will not discuss, are there. But how do you use this learning within the pandemic to really bounce back and to really strengthen and institutionalize these systems in place so that they can be much more effective if tomorrow the pandemic comes up. So this is how do we prepare ourselves for the next. We need to build up these learnings that RFP नहीं होता है, innovations को कैसे हम procurement में लेके आएंगे, citizens के साथ कैसे वो engage करेंगे much better. Those things have to be institutionalized further now, and that's a great learning we have, and let's build on it.
Yes, the response to the pandemic has actually fast forwarded our capacity and capability to address, and we should be ready for taking up those challenges in a collaborative manner in the coming future. So I think, so thank you very much for your thoughts and your points, and we look forward to certain city leaders who would want to probably talk about the thoughts that you've presented, how they have actually practically put them into place and made a difference to the life of people. Thank you very much, Charu ma'am. Thank you, Hitesh sir.
Thank you all the speakers and moderator for the session. I request moderator Ms. Nikita Chhabra to present the mementos to the speakers. The Hitesh Vaidya. Dr. Charu Malhotra.